Hey everybody, it's Ricky Heller from rickyheller.com, and I help people with dietary restrictions learn to cook, eat, and love their food again so that they can enjoy their food, not feel deprived, and focus on more important things in life like healing and enjoying your life. So today I want to talk about a topic that I get asked about all the time. When I ask my clients or people in my programs, what is the biggest challenge for you around living well on a restricted diet? One of the things I hear all the time is it just takes too long to prepare the food. I spend my whole day in the kitchen, on my whole weekend, my whole Sunday is taken up, and it just takes so long. I can't keep up with it. It's too difficult. And what I would say is, that makes total sense, of course, because this presents a problem for so many reasons. But first of all, I think one of the main issues is in this new situation, especially if you're newly diagnosed, we suddenly need to find time where we didn't need to find time before, right? So previously, maybe before your diagnosis, you might think of a Sunday where that's your time where you're off from work, right? We work so hard all week. And then on Sundays or Saturdays and Sundays, we expect that to be free time. We expect that to be time where we can sort of do the things that we really love to do and go about our business as we choose to and not have to spend it focused on cooking. We throw pizza in the microwave and 2.5 minutes later, we've got a pizza, right? So for most of us, it's a shift in terms of how we spend our time. And we're not used to having to focus really any of our time on the weekends on eating this way, on cooking this way. The second thing is, I think for a lot of people, this shift means finding about and learning about new foods, right? So you may suddenly be faced with a whole bunch of foods that you've never heard of before. And now you not only have to find them in the grocery store, you have to figure out how to cook them. There's a huge learning curve. It takes a lot of time, and that's another drain on our time, right? So that's the second reason why I think it can present a problem for people. And a third major reason, which for me isn't so much an issue, but I'm finding more and more for people it is that our mothers or our grandmothers did not teach us how to cook from scratch. So for a lot of people, when they're diagnosed with dietary restrictions and suddenly all of these previous options that they had are no longer available to them, they just don't know how to cook some of those things that, for me, because my mom did teach me how to cook when I was a little kid and I've been cooking from scratch my whole life, it wasn't such an issue. But I think nowadays, it's not that typical for people to know how to cook from scratch right from the beginning. So again, huge learning curve, and we have to amass all this knowledge and all of these skills, and that again takes time. And so suddenly you're having to put something into your daily routine that wasn't part of your daily routine before, and it can feel like it's really eating up hours of your day, right? So, and especially on Sundays where, I feel like you take your kids to the game, or I feel like going to the museum with my husband, or I'm going to take my dogs for an extra long walk, or whatever, and I'm going to go to the spa, whatever it may be, suddenly that's being eaten into, no pun intended, by the food prep. So of course it feels like it's taking over your entire day. But when you think about it in that way, let me ask you this question. Do you care about your health? And I know it seems facetious for me to say that, but it's a serious question. How much do you care about your health? Are you willing to make this a priority? So I think we need to think about this whole aspect of food prep in a completely different way. Yes, it's something new. Yes, it's taking time. However, first of all, there are loads of ways to diminish the amount of time it takes. But like anything else that we introduce into our life that wasn't there before, if it's important enough, then it will become a priority and you find the time to do it. So let me just give you an analogy, an example, so that I think will help to illustrate that this doesn't have to feel like such an onerous task. So for many of you, you may have gone on vacation to Europe I hear this from people all the time who go to Italy in particular, and I've never been to Italy, but this is the kind of comment I get from people when they come back. They'll say, "Oh my God, the food in Italy was so good." And it doesn't have to be ultra fancy to have that kind of comment attributed to it. It's just that everything there is fresh and made from scratch. And we don't do that so much in North America. So to us, it comes across as this whole other level of eating that's so delicious. As an example, there's an Italian pasta dish called pasta puttanesca, which literally translated, I think, means like prostitute's pasta. And pasta puttanesca was apparently, this dish was originally created by the prostitutes because they had to make something really quick and easy before they went out to work for the night. They wanted to eat their dinner, be done with it, and go off to work for the evening, right? And it's delicious. It's spaghetti with tomato sauce and garlic and capers and olives, and absolutely delicious, but it's ready in a flash. So there's a perfect example of whole foods, real foods, food prep, delicious result that's made quickly. So it doesn't have to mean just because you're suddenly having to prepare all your foods from scratch, or in my case, let's say 95% of my food from scratch, it doesn't mean that it has to be complicated, and it doesn't mean that it has to eat up hours and hours and hours of your day. There are certainly things you can do to try to diminish the amount of time you devote to food prep, and I can talk about those maybe on a separate occasion, but there are definitely foods that are delicious and satisfying and yummy and made from whole foods that you can do quickly. Now, I guess it depends what you're looking for. So as an example, when I created the list of recipes for my membership club called The Sweet Life, we have a whole index of recipes that are organized by category. And so the members were asking me a lot for quick and easy recipes. So there's a whole category of now quick and easy recipes that can be made in like 5 minutes or less, or 5 minutes of prep or less. You might have to bake it for some time after that. Very quick and easy. But at the same time, there are recipes that take a bit longer if you want to make something, say, for a special occasion, like if it's your birthday and you want a birthday cake, or if you're having a dinner party and you're inviting people and you want to impress them with how delicious the main course is, it's a little bit more elaborate. And then we have categories like all the different stages of the Candida diet, or nut-free or grain-free or whatever. But these foods can be made quickly, or you can spend a little more time if you want to. So the point is, not everything has to take loads of time, but also just because you're eating simply, because this is a second mistake that I find a lot of clients fall into, which is they're suddenly told they have a lot of dietary restrictions and they don't want to spend a lot of time on food prep. So they eat the most basic meals like steamed chicken, steamed broccoli, I'm going to say cabbage slaw or whatever, right? Like, and it's almost always the same meal, and it's absolutely basic, like really plain and simple, easy to prepare, quick to prepare. But if you think about that, how satisfying is that, right? So how likely are you to stick with your diet over the long term? If you're on a restricted diet for your health, how likely are you to stick with that diet for the long term if you are absolutely bored of it, and if it's the most bland and tasteless food you've ever eaten? Chances are you're not going to want to do that for very long. So you want to find a balance where, yes, you're making things from scratch, but they're also tasty and delicious and appealing to you. So I think if you want to ensure that food prep doesn't begin to feel onerous, there are a couple things you can do. One is change the way you think about it. I think about food prep on many different levels. First of all, and I think the most important one if you're on a restricted diet, is I'm prepping this food because the food I am going to create will support my better health. Think about all the things that you voluntarily devote a lot of time to in your life. You go get your hair done every 6 weeks. You might go get a manicure and a pedicure. You might take a course that you're interested in. You might spend time taking your kids to sports games. Whatever, you go work out on a regular basis. You go to the spa, whatever it might be. you're finding the time to do those things. Why? Because they're important to you. Well, if you put food prep in that same category, it might take 2 or 3 hours of your Sunday, but 2 or 3 hours once a week for how many decades of good health down the road? Is it worth 2 or 3 hours out of the whole week to have better health for the rest of your life? Think about what that food is going to give you. It's going to give you the opportunity to go on those vacations that you can't go on now because you don't feel well enough. It's going to give you the opportunity to socialize with friends. You maybe take that dancing class that you've always wanted to take, or that painting class, or the opportunity to simply get out of bed and not feel sick in the morning. It's worth 2 or 3 hours out of your week, I think. So that's one thing to think about in terms of your priorities. And then also be open to the possibility that there might be something fun in the food prep. As I said, I've known how to cook from scratch since I was like 6 years old. So for me, it's been a lifelong endeavor. But at this point in my life, it's so second nature to me that prepping food is actually fun. I know, I said it, it's fun. I use food prep as a kind of meditative exercise. So chopping or washing fruits and vegetables, or even just thinking about the different combinations of the spices that I'm going to use, anything like that, it can become a way to zone out of everything else in your life, and it's kind of a stress reducer. So it might be something a little different for you. It might represent a bit of, a creative endeavor, which it is for me as well. It's a way to play with my food in a healthy way. So try to think about it in a slightly different light. Always remember why you're doing it. You're prepping this food because it's going to help your health, and also be open to the possibility that it might bring something else into your life that wasn't there before, besides your physical health, some emotional balance, psychological health. So it can really do you good in so many ways. Now, I have found that the people who are most successful with maintaining their restricted diets over the long term, long enough so that they do see those benefits in their health, are the people who have approached it differently. They look for the kinds of recipes that they will love. They have support in a community of people who can help them with these kinds of shifts in attitude. And when they're feeling down, or when they're feeling a little less than stellar, they have encouragement. And so that is why I created the Sweet Life Club in the first place. We have a whole bunch of recipes. We have an archive recipe library of more than 250 recipes, and there are new recipes every single month. But it's so much more than that. This is a community. It's for people who want to ensure that they can stick with their restricted diet over the long term, and that they have support when they need it. We've got a library of resources on holistic health. So we talk about all different kinds of topics, from EFT or tapping to how to remove the toxins from your home so that you can support everything else that you're doing in your restricted diet with the food. And I wanted to let you guys know that for the next 10 days only, starting tomorrow, Sunday, March 17th, you can join on a month-by-month basis. So normally, the Sweet Life is only open for an annual membership, which is you'd have to buy the whole year at once. Starting tomorrow, for anybody who's on my email list, there's going to be a special link so you can join month by month. And what that means is you can just try it out for a month if you want to. There's no contract. You can cancel anytime. So if you just want to stay with us for a month, you can. Of course, I hope you will stay longer. But that's a way for you to see what's available to you in terms of the kinds of foods you can cook. We have all kinds of information. So we do talk about things like batch cooking and food prep and freezing foods and ways to speed up the process. We talk about other things that we can do for our health. There's a live Q&A once a month with me so that you can ask any questions you have at all about anything to do with your restricted diet or anything that's connected to that. And we have a private Facebook group where people support each other, respond to each other, ask for ideas, provide encouragement, and so on, basically every day. And I'm in that group pretty much every day as well. So I hope you'll consider joining us. The only way that you can get the link for the monthly membership is through my email list. So that's at rickyheller.com/subscribe. So HTTP //rickyheller.com/subscribe, and then you'll receive the newsletter every Sunday. Tomorrow, there will be a link for people to join the Sweet Life who want to join for 1 month or more at a time on a month-by-month basis, and you can cancel anytime. So I really hope you will give it a try and you will come and join us and see the kinds of amazing foods that you can eat, either quick and easy or a little more complicated depending on what you're looking for, and come and ask for the support you need. If you're struggling with food prep or anything to do with your restricted diet, come on into the Facebook group, come on to the live Q&As with me and ask for the support you need, because along with that commitment to staying within the dietary restrictions in order to see true improvement and success in your health, the other thing that I have found is that very rarely, I'm not going to say it never happens, but very rarely, people on restricted diets who are successful can do it entirely on their own. Far more often than not, they need the support of a good community. And so this is what the Sweet Life is there to offer you. So I'm going to just see if, I see we have a few people on. If there are any questions, let's see what some of these people are saying. 2 to 3 hours is nothing in exchange for these benefits, so worth it. Nick, I totally agree with you. And Katrina says, good point, I'm getting bored. So yeah, Katrina, what you want to try to do is really mix it up. And that's why we have new recipes every month. One of the things I absolutely love about the Sweet Life, because as I said, for me, it's fun to create recipes and it's kind of a creative challenge, but the members in the group can ask me to recreate any recipe they have. So let's say you've got a favorite. Somebody asked about spanakopita. I don't know if you know what that is. That is a spinach and cheese pie. It's a Greek recipe, spinach and cheese pie with a crust. Somebody asked about spanakopita. They loved spanakopita, but of course they couldn't eat it in its regular form anymore on the Candida diet, which is what this woman was following. So I created a recipe for her, a spanakopita, which she made and loved. And it's now a staple. I use it as a staple when I have dinner parties and I'm inviting people over to kind of wow them with something that looks familiar, tastes familiar, but I can eat as well. So we can share it and it's absolutely delicious. So that's one of the things you can do if you're getting bored. Apart from the new recipes every month, if there's something that you really miss, you can ask for that. And Nick is saying, yum, never knew that was its origin. Yeah, life is so about priorities. Yeah, Nick, I agree with you entirely. So yeah, I know, pasta puttanesca, it's really funny that that is the origin of the recipe. And if you didn't see that part, you can rewind when the replay comes on. I talk about where pasta puttanesca came from. So if there aren't any other questions, please let me know if there are. And what I'm going to say is I will come back to this video over the next few days. Actually, I'm going to even say I'm going to come back to it up until the time that the doors close for the Sweet Life, because if you have questions about the Sweet Life, or if you have any questions about food prep and being able to get your prep done, eat the foods you need to eat to heal your body, I want to hear those questions. So please do add them to the comments below. If you're watching this later on the replay, absolutely add your questions and I'll come back here. I'll pop over and answer them as the days go by. So I hope that was helpful to everybody. I hope that you're able to look at this in a slightly different way, and let me know how it goes. Let me know if you have any questions and what is your best tip on how to ensure that you can get your food prepped and eat the foods that are going to actually support your body and your improved health. All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.